recording already.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, Sarah's recording it.
Okay. I just started recording it too. So
Hey, look, you are the real boss, and here we are, just
it's
Yeah.
quite nice having you guys do it for me. Yeah, very nice. Okay. Well, does anyone have a question on their mind about Radar Opus and how to use it? What are you struggling with? What secrets would you like to learn? I'll put the chat over here on a screen separate, then I should be able to look at it. And don't worry if your question's really basic, it's fine. Yeah, if you're in a quiet room and you haven't got wild animals or young people shouting. Is that a hand, Vivian?
It is a hand. It is
Go
a
on then.
hand.
Go
It
on.
is very basic. Rectum, diarrhea, milk, ag.
Yeah,
Does that mean it aggravates diarrhea or does it mean it causes diarrhea?
milk aggravates. Um, I suppose that it's not that clear whether it's a causation or just an aggravation, but it's certainly there's diarrhea and the milk aggravates it, I would say.
Okay.
That's what the symptom says, isn't it? Because
Yeah, exactly.
in the
Yeah.
rectum chapter, so it's to do with the diarrhea.
Okay, so it's basically milk ag, but it also then causes diarrhea. But I mean, okay, so it just ags.
You'd
So,
imagine. I mean, I guess the thing to do with when you're wondering about this is to really dissect the rubric and see where it came from. And then if you can find it in the literature, like, this is from Herring's Guiding Symptoms. So you could look up a search for arsenicum and those words and see what it says. And,
okay.
you know, Kent's repertory is largely based on Herring's Guiding Symptoms. So that is the kind of source text.
Okay.
So that is a good place to look. And the way I would do it is to search for ARS dot return, then diarrhea milk, and then I would search in the Materia Medica or references. You've got to remember that it might be phrased a slightly different way as
Yeah.
well, because everything gets changed, doesn't it, for the repertory? So that's the way I would go around, sort of, if I really wanted to dig into where it came from.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
but I
I
would take it as, it could very well be a causation. There aren't that many rubrics that specify causation in synthesis. If you want to look at causation, the best repertory for that is Burrick's repertory, because he
okay.
actually has all these rubrics. Oh no, sorry. Clark's Clinical has a whole causation chapter,
Okay.
and Burrick calls it cause, I think, instead. See Burrick, 410 rubrics with cause.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's quite nice and specific, isn't it?
Yeah, his repertory is great if you've doing clinical work. And so here
Well,
we
it's the pointer. It's yeah, which is useful.
it's learning those little tricks about what each repertory is good for. And
Yeah.
we published a while ago a bunch of articles on the website of all the classical repertories.
Hmm.
And so you can find that information on RadarOpus.com. Um,
Okay.
yeah, in the blog section. So go to the blog.
Okay.
Oh no, it's not. Is it the blog? No, it's the repertories. So products, content. We really need to add a search option to the website, actually.
Yeah.
But
Product content, repertories.
probably the best way to find it is to go to Google and type Burrick's repertory radar opus, and then you'll be
Okay.
taken directly to the page.
Okay.
And then see here, this is what I was just saying about finding the word cause or
Okay.
yeah,
Lovely. Thank you.
quite all right. Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Look, we've got a question in the chat.
Okay,
Do you want me to read it or are you going to read it?
that's okay. I've got it here. When there are many cross-references, similar to the thing the patient tells, which rubrics to choose, especially in mind. Many choose, especially in mind. Yes, good question. And different people will say different things. For me personally, I'm a I'm less of an and or practitioner and more of a this and that kind of guy. So for me, and you'll see, like I created the thematic repertory, which I've now put into my personal chapter, so it's up to date, and that is essentially doing the job of what you're talking about. If I can get to it. Um, here. So basically, it's, comprised, each super rubric or theme is comprised of similar rubrics. And I just went about the process of combining the cross references that I felt were most like coherent as a group together. So an easy way to see the cross references quickly is just to hide the remedies for a moment by clicking on the remedies icon. And I'll just do my mouse highlighter. I always forget that. There we go. So yeah, you'll see all of these. Let's see if it lets me in now. Oh, don't do this to me. I've got another one open already. Look. Always gets nervous when there's people watching. Maybe it's something about me. Let's try in here. So mind absorbed. So basically, you could go about worrying, which exact one am I going to use? Is it fancies absorbed in, or absorbed, or absent-minded, or abstraction of mind? Or, you could just take a group and combine them. And that's usually what I do, because at the end of the day, if you spend loads of time and energy worrying about exactly which rubric is correct, you're I think wasting energy, because ultimately you need to match the materia medica of the remedy to the
Yeah.
patient. It doesn't matter then what rubrics you've used to get there so much. So it's better to have more, remedies in your selection than fewer, because as Jeremy Sher always says, the right rubric is the remedy. The right rubric is the one that contains the curative remedy. Simple, simple as that. Yeah. So I think we've done this before, but if you hold down the control key or the command key, depending on whether you're PC or Mac, click on the ones you want to take with you, and then drag that
Luke,
across.
sorry. Richard is saying you can also use F6, can't you? I think it's pertinent to what you're doing.
Yeah, you can use F6, but then the only option is to take all of them. So it's much quicker, but you might not want to take all of those. Like I personally take issue with some of that, like making many plans. I would not really group into something that's to do with being forgetful and absorbed in their own world kind of thing. So that's the problem, Richard. If you do this, you need to be very sure of all the cross references, and you definitely want to take
Yeah,
all.
but what you can do is just look, once you've taken them all, is looking at the list, just delete the ones you don't want. That's what I
Yeah,
sometimes do. That's when there's a lot.
that's true. That's true. Good point. If you take them all individually, they come into your clipboard like this, and then you can pull out the ones you don't like. Yeah. Yeah, so if you're really going great guns and you want to be and you've got the time, then that is the best way to do it, really. Otherwise, you can do the way that I showed and be sort of specific, and it creates a group rather than a combined rubric, which is where they all stay in place and they all assigned a letter.
Yeah.
You can see here that there's only one symptom in the clipboard according to the software, because this shows how many rubrics there are, and this shows the degrees here. And if you want to clean up, you do Control A, Control Enter, and then create a new one like that. And give it a name if you like. Okay. Then you do actually have to still ungroup it. It should get rid of that little letter. But yeah. So that's the answer from me. I know other people will argue that, you should be more specific about, the exact rubric, and that can be a good approach too. It just doesn't work for me particularly. Okay. Who wants to can you undo a grouping? Yes, Henriette. So if you group, you can undo, but if you combine, it's not so easy to undo at the moment. That would be a nice change to make at some point. Let me just oh, I lost everyone. Never mind. So to show you that, let's say I'm going to take some of these symptoms. First thing I want to do is sort them alphabetically, actually. So I'm going to right click and sort. If you do ascending homeopathic order, it will be alphabetical. Okay, so let's take some. So absorbed, abstract, mind, brooding, as if in a dream. So you wouldn't want forgetful in there. It's too big for a start and different. Maybe. Not theorizing. Maybe that. Anyway, let's say you wanted to take those, and I could put them in their own clipboard now. And, doing this is interesting because you do see the remedies which most strongly cover that state by virtue of the fact that they're in several rubrics. And then simplest way to do it is Control A, Control Enter, brings up the combine menu, and then you combine by assigning the letter. So, sorry, that's grouping. So if you do that, then it's easy to undo by doing Control A, right click, and ungroup. And that will ungroup them. If you combine them, then, and you want to be able to recreate it later, you just untick, delete the original rubrics. And then you get your new one here that you put into a new clipboard, and that would keep all of these guys here. And you can see they've been assigned a grading of 0. Oh, that's the one I should have taken. Okay. Anyway, so that's the one that I would use to keep my repertorization nice and clean. And these ones I will just leave and maybe label the clipboard by right clicking and change the clipboard name, and so something like that.
Luke, we've got a couple of questions, if we may.
Yep. Cool.
Do you want me to read them?
Yeah, go on. I'll
So, one from Jessica saying there is also the problem that different people use language differently.
Yep.
So it isn't always possible to know which version of example absorbed would fit with your understanding of it. It makes sense to me to combine in this way. And then Dorit is asking, what if I'm not sure how to find the exact rubric?
Yeah, well, that is the the dilemma that all of us have at some point in our lives, isn't it? Dorit, if you have an example that you can bring to the table, that would be marvelous. And then we can have a look at that and sort of workshop it. And for Jessica, yeah, exactly. The way people use language is different, and cultural context needs to be taken into consideration. And the fact is, we're always trying to convert language into the language of the repertory, which is set. It doesn't change. It's not dynamic. So there's always an element of fudging it to get it into the language of the repertory, isn't there? Especially with the mind. With the physicals, it's much easier. They're more factual, they're more objective, really. But then the mind and the emotions are the things which individualize the case a lot more, because our bodies are rough, more or less the same, aren't they? The same skin, the same muscles, the same bones, the same organs, but mentally, emotionally, there's a lot more variation and a lot more individuality, and therefore it's very important if you're going to use potentized remedies, which of course we are doing. So yeah, what if you don't know how to find the exact rubric, so that often happens in the mind section. And one thing you can do is to just put in the patient's language to start with. Let's just put that. Can you all still see my screen? Is it still sharing? Yeah. Um, you know, you can actually use modern language in synthesis because it has a lot of synonyms. You see it here in the gray, these are the synonyms for abrupt. These are the ones for absent-minded. So I don't know if you put in something like you feel that they're often criticizing people, you just put in critical, and then it says see censorious, and you say, oh yes, of course, it's censorious, and you have to go back to your Dickensian English and think in that way. But so that's one way to get around it, is to just put in the exact language they've used and see what the computer suggests. It's technology. It's there to be a tool. It's there to be an assistant for you in your practice. And that's only going to continue in that vein when we harness AI, which is sort of inevitable, to help us with finding rubrics as well. Yeah. Okay, Henriette, thanks for another question. Is there anywhere in RadarOpus like a dictionary for words, old ones meaning to newer ones? Yeah. Yeah. So one of the kind of classic book that we have on our reading list at the School of Homeopathy is the David Salt book, which was written for Kent's repertory and kind of takes modern terminology and shows you where the rubric is. And that is essentially what these synonyms are here. And you can, if you have editing tools, which is available for anyone with a Diamond engine, you can add any word you want into the repertory. See here, I've added judgmental, and then I've why is it doing this? It's that, isn't it? Maybe if I load synthesis again. It's got stuck. I selected Kent's view earlier for something, and now it's got stuck thinking that that's what I want. So mind, judgmental. There we go. It's working now. So you see, I added it there, and then I linked it to Sensorious. So you can do that yourself, and obviously I'm doing that, and that will eventually make its way into hopefully the next edition of Synthesis. And it's something I'm passionate about because I teach newcomers, and it's very hard to get into the language of the repertory, and more because we're going further and further away from that type of language. So, but we can't just add more and more rubrics with modern words. They should be linked to the original rubrics. That's the best way to do it. Otherwise, you get everything gets spread out and diffused, when really we actually just want fewer rubrics, but more rubrics that are reliable and that have the right remedies in. But the dictionary, there is a dictionary in RadarOpus, and it comes in the search window. So if you right click on a word, it opens the dictionary, and there is a tool that we've added that allows you to add your own words here. So roots and branches means that it has different endings, basically. Yeah. And synonyms is like a similar word. We know that, right? And then we could add antonyms as well if we wanted. So critique, so critical. So a synonym for critical, I've said here is censorious. So I could add that now here. And it uses our database of words, so you can then add all of them if you want. Select all. Okay. And those are now added as synonyms. So next time you write critical, you can add those automatically as synonyms. So that you can do within the preferences of the search window itself, which is up here with the little cogwheel. And you can check this option, use synonyms by default, if you wish to. So again, it's there, the dictionary's there. It's not like something you can open and view everything, but you can view it word by word, and you can make some adjustments yourself depending on if you have the time or the inclination, or the right package and all of those things. Okay.
There's a couple of questions again, Luke, in the chat. One is regarding kingdoms. Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, go on.
So you've answered one of mine. Are there any method in which we can analyze pattern of kingdoms in radar, as I've just completed my master course under Rajan Sankaran?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. They're written into the repertory in synthesis. One of the main things we did with Synthesis Adonis was to try and make kingdom analysis more accessible to anyone using a repertory. So if I quickly build, right, this is my personal chapter, so it's got my themes in it. So I can quickly make a repertorization. So if I press F6 and add the cross references, combine in one rubric, and then let's just find something random. Okay, so just a random thematic repertorization in the latest synthesis, and those are our remedies there. So you can see quite a good mix of modern and classical remedies. Got your nuts, sulfur, lycopodium, big soric trio there, and belladonna, natrimure phos, and then some. So this is the opossum. This is wheat. This is a lichen, lanthanide, the AIDS miasm, AIDS nosode rather, granite, water. Anyway, what we can do here is to change the view to families. And then we see that we've got some indications of the fungi, the cephalopods, cephalopods, so sepia, the birds, the tubercular miasm, the spiders. That's column 6 of the plants, the compositae, the metals. And then you can right click any of these and limit to the family members. So I usually use Cronquist, select, and then you just have to go up here and turn the family filter off. And then you've got all of your compositae remedies that cover those symptoms. So we're looking probably at Sina, or maybe calendula, chamomilla, etc. So that is one of the main ways. And it's, all you need then is Synthesis Adonis and you're away. If you've got the knowledge of what each family means, then, you're set. But the other awesome thing about it is that you can then search the symptoms of the family. So if I do a right-click search on compositae, then I'll find all the rubrics in synthesis. 377. Fantastic, right? So we've got Farouk, we've got rubrics from Sankaran's work. And, essentially, I did a lot of this work by searching for 3 or more remedies in rubrics and then adding those families. And Farouk did the same. So these are some of mine. So fear of being injured, right? If we look there and change it to full repertory, we're going to see probably, hopefully, arnica. There it is. Ah, Carlo's here. Excellent. So, that's one way. And, I think I'm very proud of the work we've done with that. It's not like any other large repertory has that capability. Some of them allow you to see like a pie chart or something of the sort of total numbers of remedies that correspond to families there. But if you do that, you just see the same families coming up over and over again based on which are the kind of, you know, the main remedies there. And it's not very helpful. I've used it and I didn't really rate it that much. And the other thing that we have is the Vivark's Family Finder, which is a different thing, but also very, very helpful. This is where you enter the simple words of the case and you keep the words very simple, like, what is the sensation, or what do you observe about the person and their main problem. So there's not loads of words, but there are loads of families within this. So I don't know the top of my head, but well, see what there is for confused, Oh, Illumina, of course. And then, bacteria. I didn't know that about bacteria. The case seems confused. Many vague symptoms, yeah, because it's not it's not a plant, mineral, or animal, and there's no logical coherence. It's all disease and not, nothing of the individuality. So it's very interesting sometimes to if you're struggling with understanding the case, or you need just an out of the box suggestion, this tool is fantastic. And the way that it works is that you've got Vivarka's map. So if I click here, that will open the PDF there. And this comes with the software anyway. You don't have to buy the Family Finder to see her map. And it's a great idea. She links the minerals with the bacteria, with the gems, and with the sarcodes, and with the viruses, and organizes them by the same themes of the periodic table that you may be used to. And they have generally one problem. The issue is quite simple. Whereas in the 3D or third dimension, this is where we have fungi, plants, and animals. And this is how they come across. And there's much more going on. It's a more complex case. So it's a nice simple split. And the yellow ones are 3D and the 2D ones are black. And if you click, so this is the turkey vulture bird, and it shows you where it is, shows you that it's an animal, that it belongs to row 5, like the silver series, and it shows you that it's in predatory animals. But you can click on the tree and say, okay, show me the birds, and then it will show you the birds. So yeah, that's the other main tool we have.
Thanks, Luke. Thank you, Carlo, for joining as well. There was a thank you as for what you said, and then there was a question on. Let me see it. I don't know if Carlo answered it.
Is there any place in RadarOpus where you can see what remedy works with that organ?
Oh yeah,
This one? Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a few ways, always, and it depends on your approach to some extent. But the first thing to mention is that we have an organ repertory, organopathy. This is following Burnett's work, and it's built by Sturtele, built this repertory. So all you need to do is open it and check here, and you'll see the main remedies that Burnett used for his organopathy. So if we have a liver, needs support, needs drainage, the main remedies would be Cardus, Chelidonium, and what's that one? Fascia amara. Okay, so if you're following Burnett or that approach, that's your answer. It's really simple. But in synthesis, you type the word complaints and then the organ. So the search, you need to just set back to all repertories here. And then go to synthesis Adonis, kidneys complaints of, and there you've got in synthesis a more expanded view there. So that's if you need more options than the organopathy one. Off the top of my head, those are the main resources I use. But there's nothing to stop you. Like which book would you refer to normally if you're looking for an affinity? if it's like Boja's Synoptic Key, which is a great book, you open it and then go back to the search, set that to current document only, write the organ you're looking for, and then just you've got everything here, right? Then you right click and take all rubrics, and then you've made your own rubric out of Boja's Synoptic Key for the liver. So yeah, it depends which homeopaths you're wanting to, the whole nature of RadarOpus is that it's a massive database of literature where you can call upon any of the, homeopathic contributors for their help. So if you want Boja's help, you go to Boja. And that's a good way to approach it. It's a really creative way to use the program. Good.
Luke, I've got a question
Yeah, please.
from a top doctor homeopath. Not.
Good.
No. Do I remember correctly that there was a way to repertorise from a Materia Medica?
Yes. Yes, that's what I just did then, actually.
Was it? Yeah, because I was trying to look at it and I was thinking, yeah. Because it sounded exciting in principle, but I didn't quite know how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just opened Boja's Synoptic Key, went to the search window, searching the current document only. So if we want to search for like nerves, then we've got nerves. And if you do this, view the summary, you can then see all of the remedies here. It's quite a nice layout. And then you can right click, and then it's this option here. It's actually the same as when you want to combine anything. So when you're in a clipboard and you want to combine, you do Control Enter. And when you're in the search window and you want to combine, you also do Control Enter. So it's one of my most used shortcuts, that. It's such a superb tool. And then you just name it nerves. Boja,
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this, there's no like limits to what you can. Once you've learned the main tools, it's like you can really start applying your creative mind to like, how are you going to use that tool in each different case, and try different techniques out. For me, that's fun, but I do admit that I am a geek, so
That's why we have you doing Q&A.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing you can do, which we touched upon in the last Q&A, is to set up your own document mix, which is a fun thing to do if you're going to use Materia Medica. So I just put this back so that it shows. Let's see. Group documents by type. There we go. So I have got a document mix. So let's recall it. So what you do, if you've already made one, you can go to the search window, and let's say I want to look for disturbed sleep, but I'm not going to search in the repertory or one Materia Medica. I'm going to search in a group of Materia Medica. Just turn that off in case it confuses it. So I can choose here a saved document mix and go to my favorite Materia Medicas. And then I get that disturbed sleep come up in all of my Materia Medicas there that I chose. So I went through all the provings and a bunch of journals. And if I open my references, you'll see all the ones here that are checked are in that document mix. So it's a bit of a process to do.
Very useful.
Yeah, very useful eventually. And we could quite easily include those document mixes in the installations so that they're there for anybody. So then, there's all the provings essentially. That's the main reason, because a lot of the time provings don't get added in their entirety to the repertory, because some people are more cautious than others when they repertorize their provings, and some people are more complete in how they do it. And then if luck is with me, when I do the graph analysis, there we go. disturbed sleep. And we see again a more expansive view. And then you can just do your next search by clicking on the plus, the search icon with the plus, and say it's to do with appetite diminished. Search. And then press the graph icon again. And then you get the one superimposed on the other. And it's like a repetrization, basically.
Mm.
So you can see down here, we've got the weird and wonderful remedies. And up here, we've got the regular, well-known, classical, verified remedies. But also ones that you don't often see so easily, like cobalt metallicum, often does not come up. Cyclamen rarely repetrizes so easily. All these guys you'll know. China Sulf, don't see it very often. So things will crop up that will not crop up in a normal repetrization when you do this. And then, you know, you can look at the Materia Medica, and if it fits, happy days. But if not, you've not lost anything. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Are there any more questions, guys? If not, I can continue annoying Luke.
Yeah, go on then.
I wanted to go and check out again that feature in the patient file where you can create the pre-made tables. What do you call that?
That's a good idea. Sure.
Because that sounded like a very, I'm a very practical person by default, so those kind of things kind of get my attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Let's create a new patient actually, so I don't do anything weird and wonderful in someone else's file. Marco's questions.
Nice.
And then you can always delete later, so that you're not putting stuff in that you don't really need. So it's this little innocuous icon here, and so the classical anamnesis one was built by Carlo and Roberto and was available already. And it's like a pre-built one where you can do the following. So say in the family history, there's cancer. In the past medical history, there's recurrent abscess. And in the current physiological history, we've got, let's see, constipation. So then if I select this option, add to clipboard, and then import selected, they come in and their tags are shown and they're added to the clipboard. And that's a really nice shortcut.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just useful.
And then we were like, hey, you can make your own too. So let's see. This was one that I made. So with the template editor, you go to edit this template. You've got 6 boxes. You set the name. You set the name for each box. And then you start dragging rubrics into each box to build it, basically. So let's just go back to that. So, and then of course you can search within it as well, which is makes it really helpful. So if I search for something like flying, you'll see Jeremy's Q rep, birds and flying, and my thematic rep come up. So if someone has dreams about flying, I would use those, right? And then if we have anything to do with complaints here, so they've got sinuses, import. And I also added all of the Heine Fry, Ag, and ML rubrics to do polarity analysis easy. So let's say motion aggravates, and I'll add that as well. And that's basically building my repetrization for me. And then if I click here, the template window will collapse. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. Good to know.
Until yesterday.
I've forgotten. I forgot to use it. There are so many features in RadarOpus, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is good. And the way that I build them is basically, yeah, when you're building it, you have to be a bit careful because if you shut things if you were to open the table of contents now, it would collapse. There we go. And that's something we should try and solve possibly in the next release, because
Yeah, if you make a note, mate, we'll learn.
when you're building it, you're mainly wanting to use the search window to find the rubrics you want to add. So if I go to view here, symptom template, create new template. And then, so if I was going to search in...
Ja, ik stop. Ik stop.
I'm going to mute that guy.
Yeah, done.
Don't want to hear you. Then, I don't know, let's do some dreams or something. Yeah, that's the other point. If you search in all repertories, then it's going to open the table of contents and that's going to make it close. So you have to be like super specific. You have to search in one repertory at a time. So there we go. It's gone. So that would be cool if we can solve that, because it is. And we also we wanted to release some of the templates that we've built as well, because a lot of people don't have the time to build these things. So I think that's the way to really get that tool being used more, is to just, give lots of templates to everybody who gets that tool. So that tool is part of the Create and Analyze bundle, which we released with version 3.3. And it allows you to make your own repertory, which I've started doing here, make your own materia medica, and have your own symptom templates in the patient file, so that you can, if there are rubrics you use all the time, you can have them right there and just automate that process, which, ultimately we're here to try and make your lives easier as homeopaths.
Yeah, so we've got a few questions, Luke.
Cool.
So I'll go from the top a second. So yeah, so first one was from Jessica, which I tried to answer by chat. How many of these features need to be bought as an add-on? I'm trying to follow along and not able to. And so I just mentioned her that some of them are in engines, and I sent her the link of the different engines, and some of them are add-ons in bundles. That's the bundle which Luke mentioned, the Create and Analyze one.
Yeah. I think for the Create and Analyze, you probably need to have at least silver, maybe gold.
Probably list a silver engine. Yeah. So in general, this is for everyone. What we try and do is we try and cater the more professional features in more professional packages. Also because you don't really want a student to be playing with things that are too complex. So in general, they are built so that more advanced features are for more advanced users. But if in doubt, you can always ask your reseller, and they'll let you know. Then we've got a question from Jatin saying, which symptoms to choose for repetrization? Some says pathological, some say general, and some say mind. And we don't know which are peculiar specifically when multiple systems are involved.
Yeah. It's every patient and every case requires you to consider which toolbox you're going to use. If you're going to use the Kentian hierarchy of like the will and the understanding and the generals at the top of the tree, then you have to have the right kind of case. You have to know what the drives and the desires and the aversions are of that patient. You have to know at the emotional level what's going on, and you need the generals, and you need those symptoms to be well defined, and then you can use the Kentian approach. If you've got a very elderly patient who's taken loads of allopathic medication and has a failing organ, there's no point using that approach. You need to use organopathy, and you need to use low potencies, and you prescribe on the pathological symptoms, because that's all you're going to get. So those are the two ends of the spectrum, right? And so the homeopath's job is to really kind of know and analyze first what kind of case is this, what kind of energy does the patient have, how much vitality is there to work with, because if you're going to use potentized medicines, the patient has to have vitality to use those, and they have to be able to tolerate an aggravation to come through. So yeah, it's a big question, but that's
More of a philosophical one.
it's the start of the answer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now we've got Kumar, who I salute. Hope you're doing well, mate, from America, asking when we are adding more symptoms to this module. I don't know which module he was talking about.
Is that maybe the create and analyze, or
Maybe, yeah.
the symptom template? I know that me and Robbie were talking about adding my template into the 3.3. I don't know, because I obviously have my data anyway.
Yeah, symptom template. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I mean, I think the short answer is definitely on the cards. We just need to know when we're going to put them in, Luke, can't we?
Yeah, we can do more. I mean, it's good to have the feedback that people want them and would appreciate that.
Yeah, we've also got Pam saying the templates would be a much appreciated addition. As a new user, I need all the help I can get. They would add to the learning curve. Yeah, and I think actually, I mean, again, I'm not a homeopath, but the learning part will probably be quite interesting, wouldn't it? Because once you enter, you basically get like a shortcut into a certain number of bits of information that someone else has added in.
Yeah, it's also, if you have ideas of what you would find useful, please tell us, because it's also a matter of us like deciding and coming up with the ideas. Like I started doing one on infancy and childbirth because that's has been going on in my life recently. And depending on your practice, you're going to have things that you focus on and you need quick access to. So it would be great if you guys can let us know what you would like in the templates, and we can build them and deliver them. The tool's made now, and
we've got a few couple more comments. So Carlo he was just saying about the template symptoms. You can add all the symptoms you want, and B is a preview to add the new box. So and also Vivian, it's different subject now, saying I've forgotten how to group the remedies within the rubric in numerical order.
Do you mean to have them like this so that they're organized by the degrees first?
Yes, exactly. The degrees in groups.
So you go to the repertory preferences by clicking on the cogwheel. Then you scoot over to the left and you click on the first tab, which is remedies and authors. And then you change the sort to descending degree. That's how mine is. The default is ascending abbreviation, which looks like this. So you've got them in alphabetical order and here in numerical order.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. And you can, if you want a reminder, if you're someone who values the degrees and the clinical verification, you can take a symptom with only, you can specify which degree remedies you want to take. So if you press F6, which is the take menu, or you click up here and choose the take menu there, and then you go just deselect grades 1 and 2, then it will take that rubric in with just the bold and underlined remedies there, kidneys inflammation. So then you're using synthesis more like a clinical repertory rather than a big expensive repertory. So that is how synthesis works. It's very malleable. You can make it into, that's why the views are there as well. You can roll it back to quantum, which is essentially the same as the essential synthesis. And you can change it as you go. You know, I often, because I teach first years, they're using Kent to start with. And it's actually great to just use Kent. It always reminds you what a genius he was, you know.
Back to
Imagine
basics.
doing that in those times with no computers. Obviously, he had a team and a wife who did everything else for him, but you know.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. But still. Okay. Good. Good.
All
Good.
right. Yeah, I don't think we've got any more questions, and it's 1:30 almost. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to wrap it up, Luke, or
Yeah. That makes sense. Happily.
yeah,
Thanks for everyone's questions. That was
yeah, some nice stuff.
yeah.
Thank you very much for coming, everyone. And as Sarah reminded, we'll be doing the next one on the 23rd. Was it, Sarah?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. So we'll always post them in the Facebook group, and like always, everyone's welcome to come.
Okay. I want to thank personally Luke, grazie, and everybody who joined.
Magic Wizard. Thank you very much, everyone.
Hello, have a nice day. Ciao, ciao.
Take care.